Now, unfortunately, when they're using some of these lesser quality olives to make the olive oil, they need to use things like perfumes to help to hide those bad tastes. They may need to color it as well.
Is there a double standard between small manufacturers and large ones? It is rumored among producers that the Italian authorities tend to spare the major producers of the market.
Old, rancid, and rotten, inferior quality oils, mixing them in and diluting an extra virgin olive oil, that EVOO, with those less expensive oils.
Mixed with the national production and sold as Italian extra virgin olive oil. This is legal under one condition: that all the criteria for extra virgin olive oil be met.
For years, you've probably reached for that sleek glass bottle of olive oil in your kitchen with a sense of satisfaction. The label says extra virgin, maybe it even has an Italian or Greek flag printed on it, and you feel like you're making a healthy, high-quality choice. Extra virgin olive oil is supposed to be the gold standard. Rich in antioxidants, full of healthy fats, and made from nothing but the first pressing of fresh olives. It's the kind of product that carries an aura of authenticity and tradition, evoking sunny Mediterranean groves and artisans' hand-cranking presses. But behind that romantic image lies one of the biggest and most persistent food frauds in the modern world. The olive oil industry, especially at the mass market level, has been plagued for decades by deception, mislabeling, and outright counterfeiting. What's in that bottle on your counter may be far from what the label claims, and in some cases, it may not even be olive oil at all. The heart of the scam is that extra virgin has become as much a marketing tool as a genuine quality designation. True extra virgin olive oil must be made from pure, cold-pressed olives without any chemical refining or heat treatments, and it has to meet strict sensory and chemical standards. It should have a fresh, grassy aroma, a peppery bite at the back of the throat, and a vibrant green-gold color. But producing oil of that quality is expensive and labor-intensive. The yield from high-quality olives is relatively low, and the fruit has to be harvested and pressed quickly to prevent spoilage. This creates a huge temptation for dishonest suppliers. They can make far more money by cutting corners, blending in lower-grade oils, or passing off refined product as extra virgin. One of the most common tricks is diluting real olive oil with cheaper, lower-quality oils like soybean, sunflower, or canola. These oils are virtually flavorless, colorless, and far less expensive than true extra virgin, which means they can be added in large amounts without being obvious to the average consumer. Sometimes chlorophyll or beta-carotene is added to mimic the greenish hue of fresh olive oil, making the blend visually convincing. In more egregious cases, the oil is not olive oil at all, but a concoction of entirely different vegetable oils, dyed and flavored to pass for the real thing. Even when the product is made from olives, it's often not as extra virgin as the label suggests. Lower-grade olive oils, known as virgin, pure, or even lampante, a type so poor it's literally unfit for human consumption without refining, can be chemically treated to strip away defects and then blended with a small amount of real extra virgin oil to improve flavor. The result is a product that may technically contain some extra virgin oil, but falls far short of the true standard. Yet it can still be sold as extra virgin in markets where enforcement is lax. The problem is particularly bad in the mass market supply chain. True extra virgin olive oil has a relatively short shelf life, losing flavor and beneficial compounds over time. It needs to be stored properly away from heat, light, and oxygen to maintain quality. But in global distribution systems, oil can sit in warehouses, shipping containers, and store shelves for months or even years before it reaches the consumer. By the time you buy it, it may be rancid or chemically degraded, even if it was high quality when it was first produced. That's assuming it ever was high quality in the first place. Some of the biggest scandals in the olive oil world have involved well-known brands. Investigations in the US, Europe, and Australia have repeatedly found that a significant percentage of supermarket extra virgin oils fail to meet official standards when tested. In one major study, more than 2/3 of imported olive oils labeled as extra virgin in US supermarkets did not pass the International Olive Council's tests. They were either rancid, adulterated, or both. And these weren't obscure brands. They were products from household names. The root cause of this fraud is simple economics. The demand for extra virgin olive oil has exploded worldwide, far outstripping the available supply of genuine, high-quality product. Producing authentic extra virgin oil requires careful cultivation, timely harvesting, and meticulous processing, all of which drive up costs. In a competitive market where consumers expect low prices, there's enormous incentive for suppliers to cheat. By blending or substituting cheaper oils, they can slash costs while maintaining the illusion of premium quality. And because the supply chain is long and often opaque, it's easy for fraud to go undetected. Certification labels can help, but even those are not immune to abuse. Some bottles carry seals from reputable organizations that test and certify oils, but counterfeit seals and forged documentation are common in the industry. In other cases, certifications are given by organizations with loose standards or conflicts of interest, meaning the label might not mean much at all. The words "product of Italy" or "imported from Greece" don't guarantee that the olives were grown there. Often they refer only to where the oil was bottled. The actual olives may have come from multiple countries, mixed and processed in bulk before being packaged with a single origin claimed on the label. Storage and handling are another part of the deception. Even the best olive oil will degrade if it's stored in clear bottles under bright supermarket lights or in warm warehouses. Yet many brands use clear glass for aesthetic appeal, even though it offers no protection against light damage. Some oils are transported in massive, uncooled containers across oceans, exposed to heat that accelerates spoilage. By the time the oil reaches you, it may have lost most of its health benefits and distinctive flavors, but the label will still proudly proclaim fresh and extra virgin. Health-conscious consumers are particularly vulnerable to this scam. People buy extra virgin olive oil for its well-documented health benefits, including antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, and heart-healthy monounsaturated fats. But adulterated or degraded oil may contain far fewer of these beneficial compounds, or none at all. In some cases, the cheap seed oils used for dilution can be high in omega-6 fatty acids, which in excess may promote inflammation, undermining the very health benefits people are seeking. And for those with allergies to certain seed oils, an unlabeled blend can pose real health risks. The fraud isn't limited to the consumer end. It's embedded in the global olive oil trade. Corruption, bribery, and organized crime have all played roles in perpetuating the problem. In Italy, police have seized millions of liters of fake, extra virgin oil linked to criminal networks. These operations often involve multiple stages: sourcing low-grade oil, chemically altering it, repackaging it, and forging paperwork to pass inspections. Once the oil is in the export system, it becomes nearly impossible for a buyer halfway across the world to trace its true origin or quality. Restaurants and food service providers are also part of the equation. Many high-end restaurants proudly advertise dishes made with extra virgin olive oil, but behind the scenes, they may be using bulk, low-grade blends to save costs. Since most diners can't distinguish real extra virgin oil from a decent fake, there's little incentive for restaurants to spend the extra money. The same applies to processed foods. If you see extra virgin olive oil on a label for salad dressing, chips, or crackers, it's often present in tiny amounts, just enough to legally list it as an ingredient, while the bulk of the fat comes from cheaper oils. For consumers who want to avoid falling victim to the scam, vigilance is key, but it's not always easy. True extra virgin olive oil has certain telltale characteristics: a rich aroma, a fresh and slightly bitter taste, and that peppery kick in the throat. But these qualities fade over time, and even trained tasters can be fooled by skillfully adulterated products. Price can be a clue. Authentic extra virgin oil is expensive to produce, so a bargain bin price is a red flag. Dark glass bottles, harvest dates on the label, and sourcing from reputable, transparent producers can all help, but they don't guarantee authenticity. Ultimately, the fake olive oil problem exists because it's incredibly profitable. The gap between the cost of producing real extra virgin oil and the price consumers are willing to pay leaves a wide margin for fraud. Blending in cheap oils or passing off lower-grade olive oil as premium can turn a modest profit into a windfall, especially when done on a massive scale. And with enforcement patchy at best, Many companies see it as a low-risk, high-reward business strategy. The next time you drizzle extra virgin olive oil over your salad or dip bread into it at a restaurant, consider the possibility that you're not tasting the Mediterranean purity you imagine. You might be eating a carefully engineered fake, designed to look, smell, and taste convincing enough to pass unnoticed. The industry thrives on that complacency, knowing that most people won't bother to question what's in the bottle. But once you know how deep the deception runs, it's hard to look at that green gold liquid the same way again. The romance of the olive grove may be real somewhere, but for much of what's sold on supermarket shelves, it's nothing more than a marketing mirage. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more updates.